Good kill, good kill. Hey, good kill.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're here once again with the Hornet. We're going to be doing some BVR as we continue to try to sharpen our BVR skills again. BVR obviously being a skill that you will lose over time if you don't practice it. So we have a Hornet off about 40-ish miles off the nose here. American Hornet. We're flying under Canadian colors here today. And we got this guy off the nose about 34 miles. He's now hard locking me. He has me in single target track lock here. And looks like he's already got a missile out. I'm not too worried about it because I can see the distance, I can see the altitude, I can see my speed, I know he's a Hornet, so I know the MAR, and I know that I'm not in a serious threat situation here. Fox 3, and we're gonna go ahead and crank and reduce altitude at the same time. And try to guide that missile in. So remember that the reason for cranking is to defend the incoming missile while still being able to guide your missile onto target via the gimbal lock.
Altitude.
And you can see us reducing altitude. Now here we are going to go cold here in a second, just to be safe. Even though, quite honestly, if the missile hasn't hit me by now, it's probably not going to hit me. And once again, these are all tactics that we will break down further in depth in TAC view, so if you're new to BVR, new to the channel, check out the TAC view. So actually, I've decided against going cold now, so I'm going to recommit the target. We're going to fire Fox 3 here. Did it come off? Fox 3 again. Okay, and we got Fox 3. That was about 10 miles. I think I fired 2 missiles there. I didn't mean to, it was just 1. But it's okay, we got this guy locked now. You can see 9.2 miles. And this is a little trick that I'm going to do to him in the MAR here. Yes, he has a missile out, it's okay. 7 miles. Fox 3, and we're off cold. That's 6 miles. This is very dangerous for the MAR. And my missile should hit him, theoretically. And his missile just hit the ground there. And we're going to have to go ahead and recommit here. I can see him visually. There he is. 7.3 miles, Fox 3. We're off cold again. And I think I got the jump on him that time. That missile should hit him. He's got a missile out on me, we're going cold. And so once again in the TAC view, I'll show you this little method of getting into the MAR against somebody and reducing the MAR size based on your aspect, so. And there we go, missile hit the ground behind me. I'm safe, and that is Splash 1 Bandit. All right, guys, let's have a quick look at TAC view here. And let me see, we got 45 miles. We got Silva here. Big thank you to him for helping out with this video. I'm over here in the red Canadian Hornet. You can see a separation of about 43 miles. And notice altitude almost 21,000 for Silva here. And I'm sitting over here at about 18,000. One of the things you're gonna have to accept if you're gonna fight in the Hornet is that you're just not going to be fast. Okay, look at me, I'm at Mach 1.1. I can probably get up to 30,000 feet and be at exactly Mach 1. But that's just the Hornet. That's how it is. And you have to accept that if you're fighting an Eagle or an F-16, a Viper, you're just going to have to accept that they're going to get the first shot at you, and you're going to need to defend the first round. After the first salvo of missiles fired at you, you can usually close in close enough that you can start shooting missiles of your own, but they are going to have the standoff distance against you simply because you cannot get fast in a Hornet. It's just not the same as an F-16 or an F-15. And so here we go. We are closing inside of 40 miles now. You can see the dropping of the tanks. Obviously, this is very important, especially in a Hornet, because it's already going to have trouble getting slow. You can see here a Fox 1 being missiled, AIM-7 Sparrow being fired here. A missile being fired 30 miles. And what we got is this guy. This is the tactic that he's trying to use. So this is what people will do. I've seen this before. They'll fire the Fox 1 in an STT lock to make it seem like, first of all, they know the Fox 1's useless. They just want to get rid of it anyway. And what they'll do is they'll fire this thing in the hopes that it will make the other guy think that it's a Pitbull AMRAAM or something like that. And the fact is that if I have you on radar and I know the distance to you, like right now I'm looking at him, I can see him at 30 miles. I know that if the missile fired, first of all, I know he's a Hornet, right? Because I can see it on RWR. Also, when he fires that missile and I see the range is 30 miles, in my head I start doing the math. I go, okay, if it is a Pitbull AMRAAM, for it to be Pitbull now, he had to fire it at like 40 miles. And I know the MAR, I know my altitude, I know his altitude. I know that if he did fire the AMRAAM at 40 miles, there's no way it's going to hit me anyway. The other possibility is that he just fired an AMRAAM right now in STT lock, and in which case I still have time before that missile gets close enough to be a threat. So you see, both of those scenarios, I don't fall for this. And the only reason I don't fall for it is because I can see the target on radar. I know where he is. I know how far he is. I can do the MAR calculations in my head and realize he's not a threat. So once he fires this missile, you see me continue in. At about 25 miles, I fire this Fox 3. Yes, it's somewhat problematic if he continues to fly straight. It'll hit him in the face. If he defends even slightly, he'll be okay. And that's fine. This is generally that you should survive the first salvo, so should the other guy. I mean, unless he has absolutely no idea what he's doing, he's going to get smoked in the face up here. In which case, he's a new guy. He'll learn eventually. Here's another AIM-7. Looks like he just wants to get rid of the weight of these things. It seems like he just, finds no use for them. You do realize the reduction of altitude, the dragging of the missiles into thicker air. You can see Silva doing the same thing. And you can see both of us cranking. We've talked about the crank in the past. It is the intent to make the missile turn. And missiles have finite amount of fuel. So if the burn time is between here to here, from here to here, the missile has to fly under its own kinetic energy. That's a K. It's a really bad K, but it's a K. So when the missile is in this state of using its own kinetic energy to hit the target, if you can make it turn, it will lose energy due to increased friction, drag, etc., etc. Right? So that is the intent behind the crank. The crank, the other thing that's very important about the crank, it also implies that you continue to illuminate the target at gimbal limits of your radar. Okay. So that's what's happening here. And so we're dragging cold here. Now, I was under the assumption in this fight here that these were AMRAAMs, because you're always going to assume worst case scenario. Okay, that's very important. You're always going to assume the guy fired the worst thing he can at you, which is in his arsenal, it's the A-120C. So as you can see here, we have the A-120C being fired. Let's look at the ranges here. We're down to about 12 miles. Now he did manage to stay nose hot. However, it's just the thing with this continuing nose hot thing, like being super aggressive, is sometimes it pays off and sometimes it gets you killed. If you're bandit, like you can see here, he fires Fox 3 and he's already going defensive. Is that a good idea? It's not a horrible idea, but the fact is the range at which he fires that AMRAM is about 13 miles, 12.7 miles. And at these altitudes, which is basically on the deck here, that is about 2 miles outside the MAR, even if I fly face on with it. So this missile is not dangerous at all. But Silva has already chosen to go defensive. And this is one of those things that happens in the moment. You fire these missiles in the moment, you're just scared of the incoming missile, so it freaks you out. Chances are he was actually still getting spiked by this missile that I originally sent, which freaked him out and made him go cold a little bit. We push within 10 miles. Now this is still not good, but because here's the thing, at 10 miles on a cold target, because he's going cold right now, that missile will never hit him. But here's the issue, I need to defend. Okay, I need to pull off and defend. I need to defend this, by the way. This is what I'm defending, this AMRAM that's coming in. But I cannot defend without sending something for him to worry about. Because if I don't shoot this and I defend, he has no threat to him. He will simply turn around and now I'm in trouble. Now he's nose hot and I'm still defensive, right? And inside of 10 miles, you're basically done. So this missile is just intended to make sure that he doesn't turn around and stay committed on me. Okay, so there's that. This is the second one. I didn't realize this first one came off, so that's my mistake there. We wasted one AMRAM. As you can see, he is attempting to recommit here. I've defended now the other missile which hit the ground behind me. And now this is what's happening here. Okay, watch this. So now we are well inside the MAR. Technically we're at 9 miles, which means I should be going cold. I do have a missile out on him. He probably would have defended, but here's what I'm doing. Because I am illuminating him at the gimbal limit, again down here, the fact is that once he recommits and he's nose hot and I fire a missile at him, he has to do a full 180-degree turn to get out of there, right? This is going to take time. I only have to do half of that turn. I only have to do basically a 90-degree turn to get out of there, which means my MAR is going to be a little bit smaller than his just because of the aspect of my aircraft. This starts to get a little bit weird. I don't want to get too into the weeds with this one, but basically just realize that the fact that he has to take more time to turn around is going to result in a higher probability of my missile hitting him in the face, right? So that's what you see here. You see 9 miles. I'm going to continue to usually let him into about 7-ish miles before I fire the Fox 3. So you can see here, he's already fired his at, what range was that? 8.5 he fires his AMRAM, and notice he's nose hot. Okay, and here's the other thing. At this distances, when you fire it, the AMRAM has more than enough energy to do this turn and hit the target. So you don't have to worry about helping the missile by putting your nose on the target. This is the trick here. The missile can do it by itself. Okay, and so here's this, watch this. 6.7 miles, that missile. So you know, if you've been watching these videos long enough, you know 6 miles inside the MAR is super dangerous, especially for one that's already got a missile in it. Whereas here, we fire our 6.5 mile AMRAM right here, and we turn cold. Watch this missile. It's going to do the turn by itself for us to hit that target, and we're already off cold. And you can see that missile does not track. Even if it did try to track, it wouldn't have hit. In my opinion, it was Mach 1.4. By the time it reached me on a cold target, I don't think it would have hit me. And watch my missile. Now we have seen some weird guidance stuff from the new AMRAMs a little bit, so we got to be careful. Want to analyze all of these missiles and make sure everything's performing. There are definitely some problems that ED's aware of, but I want to catch them if anything happens here. Look at this. This is one of those things that happens pretty often, is these weird misses by feet. I've seen this very often in the last few fights that I've done. The AMRAM comes ridiculously close to the Bandit, and for some reason it just cannot get that last little bit of lead or correction that it needs to hit that target, even though it's got more than enough energy to do it. And it's this maneuver that it's doing. I don't know if you can see the line, but this guidance behavior is what's causing the AMRAM to end up here slow speed and basically not be able to hit the target. This is some very strange flight patterns, in my opinion. Just fly, something like that. Anyway, that missile misses, although in my opinion it should not have. I don't think in the past, because we've done this in other videos in the past, I think you can go back and look, and you see that at those ranges the AMRAM does not miss with this little tactic that I just showed you. Anyway, so we end up in the next round, we end up nose on with him. Not really nose on, like you can still see I'm still kind of a nose off, gimbal thing, nose is over here. So this many angle off. This is still, think about this as still a massive piece of turn that I don't need to do anymore. I only need this much to get out of here, right? Whereas he now, look at how much nose on he is. He still needs this much of a turn or this much of a turn. Like he has a much more significant turn to make. And so what happens here is we get Fox 3 off. What are the ranges here? We're at 7 miles now. Speed this up a little bit. Okay, that's too fast. Okay, so that's 7 miles Fox 3. He fires 1-2. His is 5 miles. Theoretically, I should get hit by this missile. We're inside the MAR, right? But you can see I'm already cold, and I've already basically made half the turn when you think about it the way I described it before, right? And so you can see this AIM 120 is going to hit him at Mach 2 impact. So 1 dead Hornet, and I start going cold, and that missile doesn't track. So we're good. Again, even if it did track, you can see that it did not have the energy to want to hit me. It just would not have made it. Okay. You can basically see that by this speed. Like watch the speed here, watch me turning away. Like that thing was never going to catch me. So alright guys, so that's basically some of those old BVR tactics we used to talk about back in the day. We're bringing those back with the new AMRAMs. ED's update is a good one. It is a better AMRAM than we had even a month ago. However, there are still some guidance issues. Mostly it seems like it's in the terminal phase of the missile. So hopefully they have a chance to look at that and fix that. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.